What's going on? Born for Sports. And we have come finally, finally to the MLB season about to kick off Thursday for the New York Mets. And I'm excited. Everyone in Metland should be excited. We are finally at the point where we start Marathon 162. Yes. And it was a lot of expectations that came with this team after what we accomplished. What we accomplished last year when the expectations wasn't really high coming into last season, and the New York Mets went over the top of those expectations and got to the NLCS and came pretty close to getting a game 7 against that juggernaut Dodgers team. But it's a new year. And with new year comes bigger expectations, especially coming off a season like that. Off season came, Juan Soto's a Met. Mets have made some moves to make the team better. Hey, only time will tell in the marathon of 162 if it'll be enough to become a playoff team and a stacked NL East. I mean, this is not going to be an easy time for the New York Metropolitans to get to the playoffs. You're in a division that's probably the best in baseball, top to bottom, near the bottom, I should say. As you got the Atlanta Braves, they're coming back with their stars returning from injury, and they're always a thorn in the New York Mets side with all that talent that they possess. The Philadelphia Phillies, they're a good team. They won the division last year, even though the Mets took them out when the games counted in the playoffs. But the Phillies are going to be there. Okay, and then you got the New York Mets. You got three teams who could very well be in the World Series if certain things happen, even against that juggernaut Dodgers team. So, listen, it's not going to be easy, but the Mets are built for it, and I believe they're going to be a good team and a playoff team. But as far as the season goes, I'm going to give you guys my keys, my 5 biggest keys to the Mets having that season that we all expect as Met fans, with these expectations of being a hunted now. Last year, they were the ones that came out of nowhere. This year, they are the hunted, as teams will be up for the Mets and expect them to be one of the best teams in the league. So they're going to get their best from every team they play. So the Mets got to be ready. All right. So my 5 keys to the season: health of our key stars. And of course, the obvious answer is health. When you're in a sprint of 162 marathon in baseball, injuries are going to happen. Depth on your team is important, whether it's the starting rotation, whether it's position players. You got to have enough, especially in the minor league system. So the New York Mets are going to be tested with those things as any other team in the league gets help, injury scares. The Mets got to be ready. The health of their key stars are key, of course. Now, Alvarez is already out, our starting catcher, our young star catcher. We got to see how he performs when he gets back. I'm sure the Mets will take their time, as he got hurt in spring training. We saw what the effects of that happened on Alvarez last year when he got hurt. It took him a while to get that confidence going and get back to being himself, and he really didn't get to being what we're used to seeing from Alvarez. Hey, he is health all the time when it comes to baseball. And my number 4 key, the 1-2 punch of Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. Listen, this is going to be fun to watch, okay? You got 2 MVP candidates on the same squad, and you're up top that lineup. They're going to be the key to making this lineup go. And as usual, Francisco Lindor will be in the middle of all that. Yes, the runner-up to the MVP last year, okay? One of the best players in baseball, the best shortstop in the National League. So Lindor at the leadoff spot, if he has the season he's capable of having, it's going to be fun to watch. He might actually get over the hump of the MVP. Is that my bold statement? If he does have a full season of what we saw after May. And that's the key. The key is Francisco Lindor having a strong start to the season. Now, traditionally, he always has a slow start. This year, if he gets off to a good start and continues that progress of being the player he is year after year, getting his numbers, man, this lineup is going to be fun to watch. And, of course, Juan Soto, we all know what he brings. One of the best players in baseball. He is going to be an MVP candidate. We know what he brings. And, man, if that combination gels together, it's going to be so fun to watch, man. No doubt about it. Yes, sir. You're talking about one of the best players in baseball, as I mentioned, always amongst the leaders in OPS, always amongst the leaders in basically every hitting category. They call him the modern-day Ted Williams hitter in baseball. Well, it's just going to be fun to watch. Year one of prime Juan Soto in a New York Mets uniform. And now, my number 3 key. Rookie contributions of Sproat and Acuna. Yes, rookies usually have an impact sometime during the season of every good team, whether it's due to injuries or just their time to be called up to contribute. Now, Acuna might make the team. We'll see going forward if he does make the team, but I do expect him to be a factor for this team, whether he starts the season on the big leagues or during the season if he gets his call up. As the Mets might say, hey, we want to get you some at-bats. You're not going to play every day on the team. They might feel like it's better suited for him to get going down in the minors and start the season. Okay? And also, Brandon Sproat. Listen, I'm expecting big things from Brandon Sproat. I love this talent that he has shown in the minor leagues, his progression every year. He has really went through the system well. Last year, he got to AAA after a strong AA start, but he kind of struggled to start his tenure in the AAA down in Syracuse last year. Well, he said in spring training this year that it was due to him pressing, trying to do a little too much. Hey, that happens with young players sometimes. Well, we're going to see what he does. And if he has a strong start to his Syracuse AAA season, I expect him to be called up sometime by June. And I say by June because the Mets have talked openly that they are looking for a 6-man rotation with the depth they have, with a lot of starters. They got a lot of starters that are kind of not really known to having big time big league careers like Canning and Blackburn and so forth. They're converting a reliever in Holmes who's very good in spring training. And if we get what we get from him, that's going to be key. But he has been traditionally a bullpen guy. So I think Brandon Sproat is going to be a factor going forward for this season if he has a strong start in AAA and he's got ace-like stuff. He has got the goods, probably their best pitcher right now in the minor leagues. I expect big things from Brandon Sproat if the Mets see him having a good start to his Syracuse AAA style. Number 2 key, 8th, 9th inning bullpen combo of Minter and Diaz. Minter was the big acquisition for the bullpen, and I'm expecting a big bounce-back season from Diaz. After 1 year being removed from that injury that he suffered in the WBC a couple of years back, I think Diaz will progress. And it might not be 2022 version, as that was a historic performance for a reliever. But if we can get the Diaz that's consistent and known to be who he is as a big leaguer, with the addition of Minter, who's a very good reliever in the bullpen, man, that 8th, 9th inning is going to be lights out for this New York Mets team. And we all know last year's struggles of the bullpen. That's going to be a big key in order for the Mets to get where they need to go. And my number 1 key for the New York Mets 2025 season is the Kodai Senga, Sean Manaea duo anchoring this rotation. Listen, on paper, the starting rotation is the weakest link, in my opinion, of this team. Kodai Senga returning to what he was in his rookie year when he came in. He had an injury-riddled season. Basically, never got off the mat last year. He didn't have the season that we needed from him, and we still made it far to the NLCS. If we can get Senga from close to what we got 2 years ago, oh, man, that's going to be a big shot in the arm. And if Sean Manaea can continue when he comes back from injury, if he could continue his elevation as a pitcher and as a starter for this rotation, it's going to really settle things down, because as good as Clay Holmes has looked in spring training, I'm not ready to say he's the ace of this staff. I got to see him do it when the games count. So if Kodai Senga returns to being what we think he is from 2 years ago, and Minaya keeps on that trajectory of being what he showed in the second half of the season last year, Mets will be in decent shape. But I do think before the season is over, the Mets will be in the trade deadline market for an ace pitcher. But that's my keys to the season. My final prediction for the season, I'm feeling real good about this team based on where they're going with the leadership structure, with the lineup, which I think is going to be amongst the best in baseball. I think the Mets, if healthy, if they stay healthy for the most part, will win this division and be a playoff team.